defense.
Welcome to Split the Defense, Leafs post-game presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors, serving the Kingston and surrounding area since 2004. Proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. I'm Webby with CP and producer Ted in the booth. Thumbs up this episode, subscribe to our YouTube, leave us a comment, and listen to the show on Spotify, Amazon, Google, all those places you listen to podcasts. We are everywhere. Give us 5 stars while you're at it. We really appreciate the listen. Leafs win back-to-back games.
Heyo.
Final score 4-1. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Against the Seattle Kraken. And the Leafs tonight looked like they dominated for a good portion of the game. It looked like they had something that the Kraken didn't. What was the big difference tonight between the Leafs and the Kraken?
I'd say that the Leafs have star players. The Kraken is like a bunch of second and third lines, I'd say. I felt like they did play well in the bottom six, but you know, when you I just felt it kind of when you felt if you were a Seattle fan around the middle of the second period, you wanted someone to do something special, and you look around the room and it's like, I don't know, Jordan Eberle or Jared McCann. It's not William Nylander. It's not Austin Matthews. I mean, that's just the biggest thing that team's lacking. The Vegas story is awesome, but that's not the story of most rebuilding or with expansion teams. And you're just seeing it. They have a bunch of guys that are, pretty good, but no one that's amazing.
Yeah, I think that's the big difference. They don't have a Matthews or Marner. Nylander, they have a whole bunch of Domies and Holmbergs and McMahons, right? A whole bunch of them. And
right.
Yeah, that is the major difference. The Stars tonight, the Stars won the game. Willie had 2 goals, almost got 3. Willie gets 2 playing with the old guys, and he can't bury the open net for a hat trick. He has 31 2+ goal games, but only 1 hat trick in his career.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it's funny because Matthews has he has way more hat tricks, but comparative to the 2 goal games that Matthews has, he was like a 2-goal merchant for a while. So yeah, I mean, I do feel like it's way easier to pot 2 than 3, and yeah, that's it's funny. He really wanted the third one there when in the open net. Probably had at least 4 chances to do it. Just it was always someone's in front or. He bobbled the puck at the blue line at one point. So, yeah, I mean, at that point, you're kind of trying a little too hard, maybe, though.
Yeah, he was, and he bobbled the puck, like you said, and it was bad luck. It was just puck luck's a lot of it, and everybody was all over him because nobody else was shooting the pucks. It's kind of obvious they were going for the hat trick. It was impossible for him to get it. But Matthews' bank shot into the empty net. That was dirty, disgusting. Pool sharking, nice shot there.
Yeah.
Willie, though, after his display tonight and the question he was asked in the media about his ice time, do you think he deserves more ice time?
I think it was 18 to 20 minutes is kind of perfect for him. I'm not sure. The PK part of it is interesting because I think that's part of his complaint is he's not on the PK, and so when there's a lot of penalty killing, you're sitting for a long time, and he just wants to be the legs keep going. So I can understand that, but and I'm kind of on board because we play with a 2-line team at this point. So push the top 2 lines out there as much as possible, really, because they're the only ones really doing it for me. So
yeah, so that top line or that new second line of Nylander, JT, and Pacioretty seems to be getting it done. JT had a nice no-look pass tonight to set up Willie for his 2nd goal. JT's got 11 points in 10 games. Is this just Willie and JT doing Willie and JT things? The whole absence makes the heart grow fonder thing. What's Pacioretty's contribution in on all this? And do we have something that maybe could last for 30 or 40 or 50 games here?
I mean, Pacioretty's contribution is huge. I feel like he's doing a lot on that line, and he's kind of the guy that's bringing the heavy body as well. So I liked everything about it. You kind of have the two old boys who know how to play together, and then you still have a little bit of streakiness with Willie. And like Willie did get yelled at because he wasn't being defensive responsible, but I just think that you need a little bit of a wild card on every line, if and especially with like kind of like a couple snoozers in Tavares and Pacioretty. Like they play a good game, but it's not highlight reel material, I'd say. So yeah, having Willie there, I think to complement them is good. It's just never seemed to work in the long run with Willie and Tavares. It's just always kind of become a just average line. So I don't know, maybe it is the bump they need. They've always kind of had just some guy with them. So yeah.
Why do Pacioretty and Tavares look like some of the most creative players on the ice when they play together? It's like every
They
fumble
read
and
each
every
other's mind.
bobble is like perfect setup for the next guy. It
Yeah.
just works out so well.
Even like the Tavares, play from his knees to get it over to Willie for one of his goals. Like, yeah, just things definitely were bouncing their way. Like, hockey's a little bit of like you got to be good to be lucky or lucky to be good. You need to be both those things, and yeah, they were getting it tonight. But you just kind of see certain players who play who like where they're gonna pass the puck where they would be. And so when you have someone who plays this like who knows the similar style, like it's gonna work out more than often than not. And I think that's why Tavares and Willie most often doesn't work out in the long runs because yeah, they play so differently that they just can't read each other. And so yeah, having a little bit of that for Tavares, I think is good. And we saw a bit of it with Bobby McMahon last year, but not necessarily been like lighting it up this year when they've been on the same line. So yeah, good to see like something's going for sure.
Yeah, it's nice the two guys have chemistry, and then you have somebody that can come in and clean it up. And who better to come and clean up the garbage than William Nylander, right? And like everybody on that line can pass, everybody on that line can shoot. I'm really happy and I'm confident in that group. I'd like to see them do it for 10 games so I can come back here and say that I was right.
Yeah.
Wall looked a lot better tonight.
Much better. Yeah.
What was the difference in his play tonight versus his play last week?
I mean, I felt like he was very calm, controlling rebounds. Um, Also, a little bit of an easier go. Like, not a lot of 10 bell singers or saves, like they say. So, yeah, I think that it's a combination. It was a little bit easier, and he was like pretty cool and collected. So, yeah, nice to see, especially because like that's a big game for a young goalie who the rumor around is he's lost his starting spot. The nice thing is that Joseph Wall would rather play the piano than read Twitter, so you are getting kind of the perfect guy to ignore the noise and come in and just play his game. And I think that's what we saw. And that's what you need from a 1A 1B. It's about letting the guy who's hot at the moment take care of business and not being afraid to take it back, yourself one day. So
Well, it would be nice to have a healthy goalie competition and not have Wool looking like Wool did last week. You got St. Louis coming up again on Saturday. He's probably not going to play against them just because
his
he's
hometown though.
his hometown. But he played tonight. Like, I just don't see it
This
happening.
was Sheldon Keefe, he'd be in the game. But Craig Berube, yeah, I'm not sold either.
Yeah, it didn't look too good last time we did that, so I can't see that happening. Robertson was put on the fourth line tonight. Nicholas Robertson. We've been saying for a while that the fourth line needed a punch, that there was lots of creation down on the fourth line. There's just no finish, and that every time they get a finisher, they look better. They put Nick Robertson on the fourth line tonight, and what did you think of his performance down there?
Well, I think it only lasted like a period. Like he was on the third line before I, could, and it might have, that might be long. Like might have been half a period until he didn't play on the fourth line again. So I think that, on paper, it didn't make sense to have Robertson down there. In practicality, it still didn't make sense to have him down there. Like you just, once again, like how we were talking about Tavares and Pacioretty just being able to read each other, like Robertson and Kampf are never going to read each other's minds. And even a couple times where Robertson holds on to the puck a little too long for a fourth line. David Kampf is already like close to the blue line, and it's like Robertson's looping back and making another extra play, and that's fine for a third line that's a scoring line when you got Max Domi to pass it off to, but like no one's there to help you, bud. Like you're kind of putting your team in jeopardy a little bit. This is a chip and chase type of line, and he had the chance to do that. So yeah, I don't know, and it's not that he played bad though. Like Robertson, I felt like was one of the more impactful bottom six players tonight. They kind of, I felt like, yeah, like I said, was a top two line team. The third line kind of got caved in a bit, a few opportunities, but not much going in there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's got to be some adjustment in the bottom six. There's got to be something on the third line, and I don't know if it's Cali Yarncroke. I don't think that's enough. There's got to be something.
Max
something
Domi's
more
lost
that
now,
goes
too.
on down there. Max Domi's lost.
Yeah, like I don't know, he just doesn't exist almost anymore because he's just playing on a third line that's just basically trying not to get
Relegated.
scored on. Like he's a top six player and he's not playing in it. So yeah, I don't know. There are some, when you get a top six that's going, like there are some consequences, and I don't know. I guess that's why there's 82 games, so you can figure out your bottom six going forward. But it's funny, like we're playing Seattle, and Jared McCann's on the other side, who was a Leaf for about 60 seconds. And it's funny because he's one of their best players when we're talking about star players. That Seattle almost had Justin Hall and not Jared McCann. But we decided to keep Justin Hall. So, they got even lucky on a guy, and he's, I think he would fit in perfectly on the Leafs, third line.
McCann to McMahon to McCabe to McCann
Yeah,
to
I was
McMahon.
trying to figure out how many of those we could come up with when I thought of this earlier. Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know, this team and I just clearly is missing a third line center. Even if we got one, Domi might actually exist again on a third line if he had someone else to play with and he was on the wing, like, do you want Fraser Minton?
I don't see that guy coming up here this year. Do you see? I don't see Fraser Minton playing any games for the team this year. Oh God, you're just gonna get rid of him?
Can we cash in one of these young guys for a third line center, please?
Let's cash in Nick Robertson. We've seen that already. Fraser Minton might be better. He's
Yeah, I mean that's true. If you could cash in
he's
on
bigger,
Robertson,
he's younger.
Yeah. Well, he's a better prospect. I think you get way more for Fraser Minton, but. Yeah, I mean, if that's enough with you, like Robertson plus something to get kind of a third line impact guy, like a Ross Colton type of player.
Yanni Gord.
Yeah, Yanni Gord. And actually, I think that guy's contract's coming up, right?
It's like $5.5 million though.
Yeah, but last year of the contract, get it retained, and that might be worth Robertson because it's not as expensive.
So what are you talking, like maybe like a late first or an early second, and the third that we just got, Robertson. For Gord, something like that retained,
yeah, maybe like I'm not like even a late first or early second with Robertson. Like I think that's like you're paying for it and the retention, even if it's like 30% or something or whatever. I'm so
Seattle
bad at
could get more than
trades,
that,
but
yeah, I think Seattle could get more than that for Yanni Gord.
What
do you think? What do you see when you're watching the power play this season? They're 3 for 34, 3 for 35 on the season or something like that. And what do you think of the new power play units?
I think I like it better because it's still not working, but at least you don't have all of your top guys on one line. And like even the best power play tonight, power play shift came from Tavares and Nylander. So. And I don't know if it's not going, I'd rather have them split. I'm just like, is that the solution? Like, I don't know, but I do like it better for some odd reason, and it causes a little bit of chaos just because like Matthew Nyes like bobbles the puck a little bit, and so then like it creates something, but he still gets to shuffle it down the boards, and then now it's on William Nylander's stick, and people have moved around, and it's just
everybody's
not just
moving their feet a lot more.
Yeah,
everybody.
It's not like Chris pass to Chris pass, but everyone's just standing there. So, yeah, more going on for sure.
There's a whole lot more going on when you're watching this power play. Now, did you notice tonight that Ekman-Larsson started with Group A and Group B tonight at different points?
I didn't notice that. No, that's kind of weird.
So Ekman-Larsson was on the point with Matthews and whoever else was Marner, I believe, was out there. And then yeah, no, I think that was
That's what
Nyes
they
was
went
there.
with to start,
And
I
then
think. Yeah.
yeah, that was the first one. And then later on there was Domi was on the ice, McMahon and Ekman Larson, and he was out there for the second unit as well. So he kind of seems to be the guy. It's like, you're not keeping Matthews out for both units. You think you're going to end up seeing Ekman Larson take more time on the power play here?
No, I don't think it's a matter if he's going to be on both. Like, I think that might be just like a case of, Riley wasn't good to go for some reason. So I think they're always going to split. If they're splitting up Matthews and Nylander, then like they're not playing Matthews the entire time. Then like you're not playing OEL the entire time. I'd rather even they put Jake McCabe out there, to do something crazy than just to roll out a above average offensive player. Like it's not like this is Cal McCarr that you're gonna say like, yeah, just don't come off the ice. Eric Carlson in his heyday, but yeah, like this is OEL. It's like he's not a juggernaut here.
No, it's just funny to see.
Yeah,
Funny's maybe not the word, not funny, ha ha.
like kind of
Funny,
confusing
weird.
actually. If that was the route they would go with, like that would be a little odd.
I did see him out
Like
there for both
Riley.
units, but like I know Morgan Riley looks different. Like what is different about Morgan Riley? Let me get through this here. In his last 10 games, he's averaging 21-44 time on ice. He's got 6 points in his last 10 games. He's looking much better offensively. He's got 14 blocks in 10 games. He's got 6 hits in those 10 games. He never was a big hitter, but he is on pace for one of his lowest scoring seasons of his career. He's actually on pace right now for 37 points. That's not ideal, but he looks better. So what is different about Morgan Riley and what's going on here, the eye test comparatively to the charts?
I mean, you definitely notice him way less, but like that's often a good thing if you're trying to have a defenseman be more responsible. So I think that like I'm not totally concerned about how many points he gets because to be honest, like a lot of defenseman points come from second assists. It's like I want more goals from this blue line, and like I think he is providing that. He's has at least I don't know how many he actually has, but he's got at least a couple this year, and so like I'm not expecting like 50 or 60 point Riley this year. There's no question. I mean, we're kind of past that point, I think, in his career. But yeah, just the less you notice him at this point might be better, unless it's an offensive play. But yeah, I think that I've always preached that I think Riley should be more defensive. So I'm not complaining about it.
Is it just me and confirmation bias of the whole Chris Tanev thing and giving him a partner he's going to look better? That he does look better offensively 5-on-5 though, like he is willing to take more risks. He's jumping up. Yeah, I guess that's the thing. But like now that he has a capable partner, do you think that he's taking more risks, or do you think that's just confirmation bias and me seeing what I want to see?
Yeah, no, I don't think he's taking more risk. If anything, I think he might be taking less. I think that you're just kind of seeing more success from it, and like I haven't been totally paying attention to like the F3 of the whole scenario, and if the defensemen are being more or if the forwards are being more defensively responsible, then you don't notice someone jumping up and it being much of an issue. Like you always mention the Jake McCabe ones, and like yes, you notice the ones where no one covers for him. But if someone covers, it's not as big of a deal, and that's actually how it's supposed to. Like every
That's
defenseman.
not why I noticed Jake McCabe handling the puck.
Okay, but it is one of the reasons. When there's a 2-on-1 is when you notice him the most.
That's
right?
why I complain. But yeah, no, we definitely notice. It's like that guy doesn't look like he should be down there.
I mean, you don't give him enough credit. Jake McCabe's fine offensively when he makes a move, but I think Riley's been doing well. And actually, did you hear the reason why we have these pairings now? Berube it was asked in the media scrum, and so he says that like he wanted like better puck movers when Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner are out there, and he wants to play Riley and OEL with them. And like at one, I thought that was kind of a dig, like Tanev doesn't know how to move the puck, but at the same time, like Matthews should be winning his minutes. So do you need Tanev out there to protect someone like Matthews when he could be protecting the second and third line more? So I am a little bit more on board now that hearing reasoning, and not just like we wanted it to be like it wasn't working, so we're going with this. At least there's sound reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I guess that does make sense. What do we want to talk about next? Matthew Nyes is on a 3-game goal streak and has goals in 5 of his last 6 games. 6 goals in 11 games now for Matthew Nyes. What a stud.
Yeah,
I don't even know
40.
what else to say about that. Like, this guy's just clear top line. Like, Kyle Dubas pick that very few drafts that we've gotten. This guy seems to be a hit. There really doesn't seem to be very many questions about this guy's game.
The only question is how much is he going to make? Like, I think that, like, he's a locked in first line left winger, and he just perfectly complements star players. And, like, even in his media scrums, he knows it. He's like, I'm playing with the best players in the world. Like, all I got to do is get them the puck and get in front of the net. And, like, that's music to my ears, just a big body that understands. So, yeah, that's the thing that's every time that he gets a goal, I'm like, cha-ching. That is more dollar signs in his future. He's already probably like he could sign a 1-year deal at $3 million. If you wanted this guy for 5 years, like we're talking bucks now, like bucks.
The face-off win that Austin Matthews,
Oh
my God, had to set up Marner that tapped it to Nyes for his goal. That was one of the filthiest moves that I've seen in hockey. So it almost looked like he was just deking around him. Like everybody else was stopped, but Matthews was going. And it was insanely quick, fast. What a great play. And don't you think that the boys wish that they had a guy like that their whole careers, that they just feel so confident in this young kid that can finish? They're like, oh, we don't have to be the ones to shoot the puck. We can just make plays and draws people to us, and we can rely on the fact that you're going to bury these ones. Because, I mean, like, God loves Zach Hyman. He's doing amazing in Edmonton.
No,
but he had hands of stone here. He's done amazing in Edmonton.
Yes,
he's been
he's
phenomenal.
done amazing. Yeah.
He scored 50 goals in Edmonton, but not here. Not here, not in the beginning. And, Michael Bunting, there was lots of misses with him, lots of falling over in front of the net. There's not a whole lot of grit there. But this guy stands his ground, cleans up the mess in front of the net, follows the guys around, and is available for a skilled play, and you can rely on him to bury it. What a breath of fresh air.
And to
tall
think
glass
that,
of water he is.
Yeah, they were trying to throw Nick Ritchie in there just 2 years ago. Like this is like this
Nick
is
Ritchie.
This has been an ongoing thing. And so it's great. And like you said, like Zach Hyman was what we thought was the perfect player to be with Matthews and Marner, but I mean like I like this a whole lot better. It just the big body to me is important, and I just think he's just playing it just perfectly. And I've always like felt a little bittersweet about Hyman's success in Edmonton, but God, I feel bad for him now that he's not doing well. And like in my dynasty fantasy league, I traded him away this year, and it makes me look really smart. But it's just it
Dude,
makes
we're
me
10
feel bad.
games in.
Oh yeah, I traded him in the summer.
Okay.
But it makes me look really smart going into this year. But I'm wishing for more success for Zach Hyman. That's for sure.
I wouldn't rely on that. Maple Leafs defenseman Connor Timmins skated in his 100th career NHL game tonight. Did you know that? I didn't know that. 100 games for Timmins, 100 games for Holmberg last week. A few of these guys here are now coming into their own. That gave me a thought and a question that I had. The Leafs have for years tried to put the bottom of the barrel guys and the young guys with inexperienced guys, not a whole lot of games in certain situations, and it hangs them out to dry. Do you feel that this team kind of just has more experience, like as a whole? Everybody they're bringing in doesn't seem to be a tryout, or if they are, they seem to fit really well.
Yeah, I mean, like they've done really well this offseason. They brought in 2 great defensemen that are fitting in perfectly. Pacioretty, Lorentz. Definitely, there's been additions that just seem to be working. So
we just don't have any Travis Dermotts or Justin Hulls anymore, or Like those guys are gone. Like Liljegren,
Yep.
Sandin, like they're getting too many minutes or too much time. They're not there anymore. That's just on the back end.
Yeah, and like you said, Connor Timmins would be on the bottom of the totem pole, but I've been pretty happy with his game. I was happy with it tonight. I was pretty happy with it the last few nights. Like he sinks into some pretty bad play, but so does the whole team when you go back like 3 or 4 nights. But I think that he's been kind of filling in just as well as Timothy Liljegren could have, and especially for the big cap hit relief, it's nice that now there's a little bit of breathing room, and you can see that like now we are getting some players back, and getting healthy, and it is kind of a good scenario. I think the team is right now. It's about kind of matching up like what you got, and I think you do have a little bit in the forward group too many of like kind of the same thing, and we're lacking like a little bit of center depth. But like when I'm complaining about the third line center is kind of the only thing, and like maybe you want to add a little bit of an upgrade on defense if Hawkenpaw doesn't work out. But like we're in a way better spot, I think, at least for my own personal liking of a team than we have been in previous years.
Yeah, it's just like we didn't bring in a Nick Ritchie this year. We don't have Nick Ritchie's playing these big time minutes to see if they're going to work out, and it's nice. It is nice. It does feel comforting. Feels like it's a more veteran team. It feels like that's going to take us places in pressure moments, and I would really like to see it. So the final score for the Leafs game: Leafs 4, Kraken 1. The Leafs outshot the Kraken 28-25. Joseph Woll making 24 saves. And I am out of stuff for this game, but I did want to ask you about Timothy Liljegren being traded to the Sharks for a 3rd-round pick, a 6th-round pick, and Matt Benning. And I wanted to add in here, want to hear your thoughts about it, but I also want to add in the Maple Leafs could reportedly flip Matt Benning, as per Nick Barden, to, in quotes, add an additional asset if the roster limit issues continue.
I mean, that's not bad. So, like, I mean, maybe you can think that maybe is a 4th or a 5th round pick that you would add to it. So, I think, like, either way, I think that you either get some defensive depth that's appropriately paid for what they are and can probably pass through waivers, maybe. Or you can flip them for like a low draft pick or something else. But I think the big thing was that this Liljegren was making way too much money, and so there was a limited amount of teams that would be willing to take him on. So I think they did a pretty good job for what the situation was, and cap is worth something. So that's maybe when we were just talking about they haven't brought in anyone that's like a Klingberg or a whoever, but like they did. That was a really bad signing, I think, giving Liljegren $3 million. And you think about what you got for him, like you probably could have gotten much more if that guy was signed for $2 million or just under 2. Then that's probably the mistake that has been made.
But if you had to take him to arbitration, he probably would have made more than 3 because that's just how it works.
I'm not sure that's true.
Well, he's like 1.4s, and it's like you have to make. I can't remember. You'd have to do the math on it, but I know it's like 1.5 sometimes. So it would have been about $3 million or more. He would only got 1 year. I think they got 2 years, right? Is that correct? So I mean, it's
you get one, or you get to decide afterwards, if you like the number,
So I just think that they had to protect the fact that they had a player. Like they didn't know what they were going to do with him. They didn't know at the time that he wasn't going to be played. Like Keith played him. Yeah. They didn't know that. So he signed a contract. They held on to him. And then he wasn't being played by the coach. And I think the coach and the GM have a good relationship. I don't think there's any animosity there like there was when the whole Babcock and Dubas thing when that happened. Yeah. Like we had that era of animosity. Like I think Babcock and Lou got along well. I think Keith and Dubas got along well at times. There was definitely some family drama there, but this Berube and Tree Living thing, I think if Tree sees he's not going to play him, well, I've got wasted cap here. My job is to manage this team and the books, and like the as much as he cares about the guys, and I know he cares about the on ice product, he wants to trust his coach and just make the moves that he has to do behind the scenes. So he flipped a guy that he had. Simple as that. He's not going to play here. He's going to play somewhere else. And like you said, if he made $1.5 million, he probably wouldn't have even been flipped at all anyways, because we took back Matt Benning, who makes $1.25 million until the end of next year. He's this year and next year too, by the way.
Right.
So like, it's just like Tree had a job to do. He sees his coach isn't going to play him. He has no issues with that. There's no standoff. He just says, okay, see you later. And Liljegren's gone to the San Jose Sharks.
I think it's also a little preemptive too, where, in preseason, Liljegren had to be worth the $3 million. And that means that like you're either sacrificing a lot of cap space, or even like Yarncroke would have to go or something like that. So yeah, like when you have someone like Timmins, who's, even if he wasn't as good as Liljegren into preseason, like if he's close, it's worth it. Like you got to move off the player. Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel bad that Connor Timmins got injured. It was last season, right? It was last season. We had like superstar Bobby Orr, Connor Timmins.
We did for a week. Yeah. 1
week of preseason. Gone. Who knows what that could have been. All right, you got anything else you want to get on for this game, or should we get out of here until next time?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
All right, we are back on Saturday against the St. Louis Blues in St. Louis. And we're thinking no back-to-back starts for Joseph Woll, right? It's going to go back to Stoli.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, the only argument is that, it's his hometown, but we haven't seen that that's kind of the trait of this team. So, yeah, I would say where they're going with Stolarz unless like there's some sort of altering factor.
You heard it here first. They're going with Stolarz. We will see you after Saturday's game. For now, that is a wrap. Thanks for joining us for Split the Defense Leafs post-game, presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors, serving the Kingston and surrounding areas since 2004. We appreciate your comments. Please hit that like button on your way out the door. Subscribe on YouTube. Tell all your friends. Download the podcast. Rate it 5 stars. And until next time, go Leafs go.
Peace.
Follow the boys on Twitter at STDPWebby, at Craig D. Pearce, and at Ted_is_show.